because we had an idea for a second-tier superhero. Marvel believed in John and I. It turned out pretty good, and so we get to do it again, and we're incredibly excited and very humbled that we get this opportunity. Favreau will be reprising his role as Happy Hogan and director. Occasionally acting like we're on the verge of performing sexual favors on each other and or like we're not speaking. Do not be alarmed by either of these. It's just this symbiosis of working together. We have new crew, we have new people, we have new energy, we have new story. Yes, we're going to look more beneath the mask. We're hoping, because we know a lot of people are going to see this film, whether we up or not, that we can imbue it with a sense of the kind of humanity and naturalism and love of the game that we had last time. So now we will commence shooting Iron Man 2.
Yeah!
There we go. No turning back now.
Roll sound. Rolling. Lively. Sound speed.
Hey, camera Mark.
See you, Mark.
Set, and background action, and action.
Ever since Robert was announced as being Iron Man and Tony Stark, people really dug the idea, at least in the fan world, who knew what Iron Man was. And I think people who didn't know who Iron Man was intrigued by anything Robert would be involved with. I think people were waiting for him to do the right project.
When you have Iron Man portrayed by somebody like Robert Downey Jr., it's, you know, we got the intended result, which was an iconic film persona, right from the first scene. And
then the other cast fell into place very easily because people seem to like the idea of working with him and I together.
John and I are kind of insane. We're really idiosyncratic, and we gave each other the freedom to say, you know, I'm really upset with you about what's happening here. Or John would be like, baby, what's wrong? Why are you angry all the time? Or whatever, you know.
I can walk in the shop if I leave. You know why? Because I got the whole thing. I got the whole world in my hands. They love me. Give me those stars.
The last one that's shown is actually Justin Hammer's character, and something goes terribly wrong, and it's very embarrassing for him. And so people are going to be. We might want to get some people leaving and like to tell news outlets and things like that, or what the hell is going on. So we want to create chaos when it starts to happen. Maybe people are starting to get up, carrying out the blow-up dolls in the back.
Favreau just really wanted somebody who could keep up with the verbal repartee that Downey has, and I'm just barely able to do that. I mean, Downey's very quick. We went at it a little bit in the Senate room.
I love Iron Man, and I love Pete. Those are two things I'm a big fan of.
Having Rockwell there was just great because he's so game, and he's not really intimidated by anything or anybody.
Neil Briggs. Neil Briggs, exactly. Touche. I'm on your side, pal.
There's something that can be a little off-putting about it because he's just incredibly confident. And I thought, well, then if there's someone who's going to try to sway public opinion away from Tony, that I'll just say Sam Rockwell is the guy.
Go ahead, do the thing, do the thing. But I'm on your side, man. I'm working for you.
I'd worked with Favreau before, and he improvises a lot.
John is very into making everything as real as possible. So we still do our improv thing, and we change it up just because that's how Robert and I like to work, and that's how we like to keep things fresh and super naturalistic.
With Paltrow and I, when we get on camera together, we have something that people like to watch, and it's great.
I like to encourage a lot of improvisation on the set. You know, when you're working with Robert, Robert's very quick, unpredictable. I knew from Gary's work and from knowing him for so long that he was so quick and could hang in there, and I knew something explosive would happen.
You know, let's not use that kind of language, if you don't mind, in front of the American people, Mr. Stark. I want to say you to you.
A lot of what I enjoy about the first film was that there was an unpredictable quality to some of the scenes that in other movies of the same genre might have been a little bit more by the book. And I knew we were going to have to cut loose in this scene and have it go a little crazy and a little Marx Brothers, and while still maintaining the stakes and reality. And so when Gary said he wanted to do it, it was really exciting for me because I knew that I would, as a fan, just love to be there and watch take after take.
We would run it a couple times, and then we'd approach the bench, and then Shandling would have these other directions.
And don't pull that dowel out again.
Day two, we're wrapping up day two. We just finished the Senate hearing, which was our first scene. We shot it over 2 days. We had Robert Downey Jr. And you and him together were fantastic, a very similar sense of humor. And it was a great way to start the movie. And I went home, I was so relieved after the first take, even of The Master, seeing all those characters working together with Gwyneth there and with Don and Sam and so many people who came back and so many people's first days. And I felt like we discovered the tone of this next film. So thanks so much for being a part of this.
I will say, disregarding me, quite frankly, you have quite a knack for casting. It is a fantastic cast, an unpredictable cast, and it's what makes you special, because you're able to have this vision of putting these more unusual elements together that I imagine you had to fight for. And anyway, I'm very grateful to have been in the movie.
Well, thanks for classing up our classing up our show.
Thank you, buddy.
Thanks, and that's a wrap on Gary Shandling.
This is a wrap. I'm done. I go home now and go to sleep.
Here we are. It's day 4. We're on our Russian street in Manhattan Beach. It's where Ivan gets his credentials to travel to the race in Monaco. What's cool about this set, too, is if you look at it, it looks just like the drawing that we did months ago. It's amazing. I get a kick out of this stuff with the snow and the street. It's kind of what you start off in the movie business to do. And everybody here, no matter how long they've been at it, it gives you that feeling that you're like a kid playing. This is great stuff. It's a fun little scene. I think it'll open the movie up a bit.
So it's our last day in Mickey's apartment in Moscow. He's building the whips for the Whiplash suit. So a lot of this is just one-on-one, Mickey in there alone doing his thing. And this is what we'll be cross-cutting to from time to time throughout, setting up Tony Stark in a very different environment. So we want to create as much contrast as we could. And we also wanted to echo Tony building the Mark I in the cave. So we tried to maintain a lot of the same shots and a lot of the same or similar props, as though he's working off of the same idea to create this Whiplash suit. So we'll walk into the set. Area where he built the RT. It's not really dressed right now, but you get the idea. The monitor's going. And right now they're rigging up where he's building the whip on the other side. The guys from Legacy who built the whips and the Whiplash suit are now rigging up pieces of the suit on the bench. Could we ramp the LEDs up?
You could probably ramp the LEDs up.
We're lucky enough to be at Edwards Air Force Base, California, and today's gracious hosts are the 445th Aircraft Maintenance Unit. The Shadow maintenance folks, they've done a fantastic job setting us up here.
It was amazing when we showed up at Edwards for that scene of Rhodey arriving. The amount of gear that the DoD had put on that flight line was mind-boggling.
As you can see, a lot of great production value. Some of the finest air power we have in the arsenal.
B-2 bombers, C-17s, and F-22s, and F-35s. I mean, you could literally pause the screen and tally it up, and it would probably come out to $1.5 billion. And here's this whole sea of dudes in camo. They show up with real guns, and they're there to do it, and they're jazzed to be there because they saw the first movie and they dug it.
Yeah, you got the real deal here. I mean, these are the aircraft that we fly every day here at Edwards Air Force Base with our test wing mission. We got a real engine pulled out of an F-16 right here behind us back here.
So this is the piece that you saw in the shop earlier. We spent another 2 weeks on this, just kind of putting in all the final little wires and hoses and so on, making all the final connections.
This design of this boot is actually a leftover from the first movie, and so we utilized the same design so that there's a continuity. This part's been created based on the technology based here at Edwards. This section of this chest, this comes apart, revealing the RT.
These are RTs that we used on the first movie when we did surgery on the Tony Stark, putting in his heart. This is what it looked like. And right now we're gonna dissect the Mark II, and I think I'm gonna use one of these to be inside when they pull it out so that we see the inner workings of an RT. So just want you to edit that one, put it here so that that goes away.
That's what I was thinking, if it's like, because it adds nice detail.
I think this is the power source. Major, this is not a scientific exercise. Let's just focus on arming it, all right?
We're out at Edwards Air Force Base, one of my favorite scenes in the film. This was one of the scenes we wanted to do, and then we carded these weapons, and I switched up the weapons, and, you know, Justin wrote out descriptions for each of them, I think, the night before.
It was an unfair trick on Sam because he basically just, there's no way that he could just pound those lines into his head in the short amount of time that we had to give him to him.
If you've just written something, the only way to get it done is have someone send it down a wire to you.
I got new dialogue thrown at me, quite a bit of it, and stuff that was very technical. I was talking about guns, and so I had to use a device that's an earwig and it's put in your ear and your prompted lines as you're doing the take. At first I had the guns guy prompting me the technical stuff, and I realized that I needed like an actor. It was more about timing. Flashbangs. Because Theroux is the writer, Justin Theroux is also an actor and a really talented one. And also, we have a rapport. I've known him for years.
It was kind of fun because they really got playful. So as I was giving direction, he was reacting to Rhodey, who wasn't saying much. It was really him interacting with Justin, and then me feeding Justin things, and Justin feeding him things, and him coming up with stuff, and then Rockwell accentuating that.
This is the torso taker, powder maker, 22, 223 caliber. Our boy's in uniform called Uncle Gazpacho and Puff the Magic Dragon. It's an FNF. I'm gonna take you ballroom dancing. Put your tap shoes on.
Go through it. Don't wait on it.
All right. This is an FN 2000. Bullpup design, 22.3 caliber, M16 caliber.
Theroux is the real student of the game. So, by the time you're talking about Iron Man, he's basically looking at the history of tech in the collective unconscious. He's just that kind of guy.
You can't just all of a sudden have, you know, a gun and this and the missiles and the, you know, you have to really pay attention and give that its due. I had a list of the weapons, and I was off camera, and I had a microphone, and I was feeding him what the weapons were as he was picking them up.
We got into a rhythm. Once we got into the rhythm, it was great, but but man, it took a while.
Because there was so much technical information, and they were real guns, so you had to kind of get it right. You didn't want to seem like an idiot. And so we just kept shooting different sizes and featuring the guns and laying them on the table.
But I like the Puff the Magic, I'll tell him. Puff the Magic Dragon.
It was just such a fun way to set up what this War Machine suit would be.
The three of us in combination cooked up a pretty fun scene, you know? It was like the three heads were able to put our heads together, literally, before each take.
Came out to be this perfect storm of writing, acting, props, shooting, everything, directing, you know, so it just crystallized.
You want some tanks? I got tanks. I got an Apache longbow.
Cut.
There's the door.
This is ridiculous. I just stuck my neck up for this guy.
Tony crosses some major lines at the party.
Get out.
Rhodey puts on the Mark II.
He doesn't put on the suit because he wants to. He puts on the suit because he's been left without option. Then, how does Tony react to that? Tony says, let's see what you got.
two different kinds of mocap, really. And one is the fight choreography and the stunt choreography, actually having sensors that were recording physical body information into the computer. Two is they use a version of a motion capture suit that isn't hooked up with sensors but tracking marks. One of the reasons why we have them in the suit is so we can put them into the scene, so they can see the way the light falls, because ultimately they're going to have to match that with all the digital work.
The house fight between Tony Stark and Rhodey. They end up fighting like brothers, tearing the house apart. It was great.
I think there were moments of real grace and poise in the midst of all this horsing around, because when it comes down to using his thing, it's like a pilot who knows how to, you drop it, he's got it. He's got it, you could do flick turns and stuff like that. You're just really, really good with the suit. So even though you're horsing around, there's still those moments where it's a little intimidating and scary.
They get kind of tangled together and they blast through the living room into the gym. So right now we're just testing the aftermath of that. They start fighting in the gym and he knocks him into the ring.
3, 2, 1, go!
Sometimes depending on the distance, you can have actual people jumping off or something mechanical.
We have two types of rigs here that we're marrying up. We're using one that's making him jump straight up and down. And then we have another system that's going to be bringing him into the ring here.
What you see over there is two guys that are going to initiate his trajectory.
I'm going to be standing over here with the rope, basically just pull him straight up and down.
1, go!
Sean is on a pneumatic rig, which is sitting behind the screen here. He has a button that will set that off. And with the timing of the actors, he will push that button and pneumatically fly Keontae, who's playing War Machine.
3,